G'day there guys, it's Connie here once again, coming at you with some more stories from Reddit. As usual, if you enjoy these stories, be sure to hit like and subscribe and all of that, and let's get straight into the stories. Alrighty folks, kicking things off on relationship advice. This one was written by a throwaway account, and it's titled, "My girlfriend is acting strange after a business trip. What do I do?" We've been together for a year and a half, and our relationship has been good up until this point. She was out for 5 days for a business trip to a conference. Without disclosing much, we both work in the same field, but not a lot of overlap. The conference would debut a project she'd been working on. I did not go because of my own work, but she went with her co-workers on the project, and everyone seemed to have a great time. I picked her up from the airport 2 nights ago, and when I went in for a hug and kiss, she didn't return it, and just went to grab her luggage. The whole ride home, she was basically catatonic. She didn't want to talk much, and would either ignore me, give me a delayed short answer, or be very short with me. The only thing I could get when I asked what was wrong was, "I'm tired." When we got home, I reheated some food for her while she was in the shower. After the shower, she took her bowl, but dropped it on the way to the table, and immediately started crying. I tried to comfort her and give her mine, but she angrily said she wasn't hungry, and was going to bed, and went to her bedroom, where she ripped the blankets and her pillow off the bed, brought them into her office to the bed she uses for naps, and closed the door. She hasn't really left her office since. We're now on day 2, but I do see she's coming out of her office for food. I've sent texts asking to talk, but she hasn't responded. The door is locked, but if I knock, she'll say she's okay, but napping. She won't talk to me, and I don't really know what's wrong. Obviously something major happened. I checked social media, but everyone was smiles online. I spoke to my friend who went with her, he worked with her on the project, and asked how it all went that first night. He felt the trip went well and everyone had a good time. I inquired more about my girlfriend after, and he did tell me there was a part of the trip about halfway through where she started crying over lunch, but he didn't have any other details. I don't really think she is cheating, but I also don't know what could cause this. Any help? Yeah, wow, no idea. I mean, my guess is as good as any, I suppose. Let's go to the comments. "We cannot guess at this. You are going to have to talk with her. She may be sick, she may be pregnant, she may have been assaulted, she may have cheated, she may have learned something about you while she was gone that has made her very angry. There are more things that may have happened, but those are my top 5. This may be hard to hear, and people on the internet shouldn't come to conclusions this serious, blah blah blah, but I'm going to echo a lot of these comments. I have been sexually assaulted and also work with survivors. All of her behaviour is indicative that she was harmed in some way. I do not believe this is cheating related at all. The extent of it, only she and the perpetrators know right now. I know you want to know, and I truly feel for you. This must be so hard to witness and feel helpless in. There's no right answer in situations like this. My best advice is to try not to push her for now. Please, please, please try your best to not sound or act accusatory to her. She probably knows that her behaviour could be leading you to that conclusion, and it's adding to any shame she might feel. Many victims also worry that their loved ones will react poorly. It's not uncommon for partners in particular to jump to the cheating conclusion, and it's heart-wrenching to experience on top of the trauma from the event itself. You say your friend was with her the entire time. I'm very sorry, but I would keep an eye on that. It's possible that is why she is so avoidant of you. People are also less likely to believe victims when a perpetrator is someone well known and liked to them. I'd like to add that statistically, it is overwhelmingly most common for perpetrators of abuse and assault to be someone known to the victim or their loved ones. Along those same lines, it is highly likely that whoever this was is a co-worker. She could be worried about retaliation and an effect on her career. Also, don't take her resistance to talking or reporting as an indicator of guilt or dishonesty. Everyone reacts differently to trauma. Many blame themselves. She might feel like she betrayed you. She might have been gaslit by this person or people who may know into believing it was her fault or she wanted it. If you choose to talk to the friend or anyone you knew on the trip, don't make any direct accusations. You could choose to bring up the trip in general and see how they react. Your girlfriend might have been threatened by this person and they could panic if they think they've found out. Also, don't be surprised if this person suddenly changes their tune and tries to get ahead of it by claiming a consensual affair or one completely initiated by her. If she does come forward about an assault of some kind, please do not be aggressive with forcing her to report or going after the perpetrator vigilante style. I completely understand the anger and hurt you may feel, but those things do not ever help the situation. Obviously, there are other possible explanations for this behavior, but I'm going with this one because, from my experience, it truly sounds the most likely. Please be patient with your girlfriend, but don't disregard yourself and your feelings. You're not wrong to feel uncomfortable with this. It is such a difficult position you're in. I hope you get answers soon and that you and your girlfriend can go forward and heal. Listen, man, I think you need to consider the possibility that she might have been sexually assaulted at the conference. From what I understand, it tends to happen a lot at conferences. Her response seems more like that of a person who went through something traumatic than someone who made a bad decision. I think you need to go to her and tell her that it's obvious that something happened during the conference and you're worried about how it's affecting her. Reassure her that no matter what happened, you want to be there for her and figure out a healthy way forward, whatever that ultimately looks like. Yeah, gee, that's pretty grim. Fingers crossed it's nothing like that, but the comments are doing a pretty good job in convincing me it is. Let's go to an update. Thank you to everyone who showed concern regarding my girlfriend. I stopped responding to the comments because they were overwhelming, and it wasn't helpful for me to read that stuff when I was at work and couldn't do anything about it. I've been pretty slammed with work, and the demands for updates in the comments and inbox have also been overwhelming. With so many people assuming an assault and asking for details, it felt voyeuristic, where people wanted a window into my girlfriend's suffering. That disturbed both of us. Ultimately, I decided to update because there was no cheating or assault at all, despite almost everyone thinking it was definitely one of the two cases. I'll give my girlfriend the name Lily, our friend who was on the trip, Jake, and her close friend and roommate on the trip, Jane, for ease. I called Jane, despite people saying no, and asked about the trip. Jane remarked that Lily was very tired and wouldn't talk much outside of the days on the business trip, and that was consistent from day one. I asked if she felt like something had happened, and she said no. I asked if she felt like Jake might have done something. She said absolutely not. When I came back from work, I saw signs Lily was more functional, as she had done some cleaning. I took the chance to ask if she wanted food. She agreed. We ate a meal, and I broached the subject. The missing piece to the puzzle is that Lily has ADHD. This was an important fact, but one I forgot as she manages it well. I tend to think of what are symptoms more as cute girlfriend quirks because a lot of general ADHD behaviors she mitigates, like forgetfulness. What happened on the trip is that, to save money, she shared a room with Jane, which she has done on short bursts but never for such a long of a trip. As I mentioned, it was a business trip, so although Lily had a lot of fun, she was working both physically and socially for up to 20 hours at a time. She had nowhere to go and reset at the end of this. She had enough emotional gas to come home, but she had some flight delay issues at a very busy airport, and by the time she came home, she couldn't make it. She also felt like my asking of her trip in the car was like an interrogation because of her mental state. Her ADHD has never come like this because she manages it well, and hasn't been in this environment in a long time. We decided that from now on, she should have her hotel room by herself, or with me, regardless of the cost. I also agreed to not ask any questions when I pick her up from the flight, and she will instead tell me what she wants. If not, I will ask another day. We came up with some other plans so that I know how she is when she comes home. Saturday night we went to an event. She had fun but crashed immediately at home. It was more on the scale I'm used to after a 3-day trip. She's cleared her schedule for the next week to recuperate. Oh well, that's a relief, I suppose. Edit. Everyone is stuck on Lily's travel expense. I've copied and pasted the comment for those unable to search on their own. This better explains Lily's job. Think about when you go to a convention where someone is selling items at a table. These individuals have to often buy their booth and pay for their hotel to travel to the convention. I used the term business trip because for Lily, Jake and Jane, this is a business trip. They are there on business, not vacation. Additionally, many people are convinced this is an excuse to cover consistent bad behavior. It has never happened before. She was stuck in the most crowded airport in the country for 7 hours longer than she was supposed to be. She hadn't slept for 5 days and hadn't eaten in a day. This led her to a point where she felt sick, and by the time she came home, it's 1:30 a.m. and she is exhausted and hungry. This was an exceptionally bad day for her, which resulted in her behaviour. It was not out of malice or entitlement, and it's not how she would act in any other situation. Everyone deserves a little grace now and then, which is something that Redditors do not seem to understand. For those convinced that she is lying and still must be assaulted or have cheated, and those who rooted for her to be assaulted, those who are just being rude because it's the internet, or for those who choose to waste their comments pretending to be Lily's doctor, I hope you find a better hobby in your life. I hope you can find the resources to deal with your immaturity. I'm done with this account. The problem is solved and the update is there. If nothing else, I've learned that Reddit is a terrible place to receive any kind of advice. The duality of man, I suppose. Some people get plenty out of asking Reddit, and some do not. Honestly, I'm not judging his conclusion here. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, we're going to move on to another story. Alright, we're over on the infidelity subreddit. This one was written by user NotTrue626, and it's titled, I just found out either my brother or I are an affair child. I got a DNA test done years ago. My brother recently got one done from the same manufacturer. We only share 25% DNA. We also have different ethnicity percentages, which just solidified this to me. No, our tests didn't get mixed up because the ethnicity from our mother's side is the same. It's just the father's side. Either him or I are an affair baby, and we don't know who. Our father, the one who raised both of us, is dead. We both grieved his loss. Knowing one of us still has a father is insane. He said he wants to confront our mother, but I honestly don't. The man who raised me is my father, when I'm his or not. I'm just so upset that this is how we had to find out. And our mother both let us do DNA tests knowing the results would be different. I'm just so confused and hurt. Edit to add, as I said in the comments, my brother plans on confronting my mother tonight. I'm staying neutral because at the end of the day, I honestly couldn't care less who my father was. My mother was my everything. My father wasn't the best, and if I'm an affair child, I don't even know if my biological father would even want to know me now that I'm an adult. I kinda do want to know at the end of the day, but it doesn't really change who I am. My brother is handling the news differently, and that's cool. I think it's because he also didn't have a great relationship with our father. It may be deep down he hopes that's why. I don't know, but yeah, I'll update if anything shocking happens tonight. If not, it's just Opie answers some comments. When told maybe it's best not to seek a possible biological dad. Even if my possible bio dad is a halfway decent guy, it'll just be so awkward. Like I said, I've already been raised and grieved the death of my father, biology or not. Even if I'm an affair child, my father is dead. At the most, I'd feel I'd be able to have a friendship or camaraderie with any other person that would be a parent. It's took late in life for him to be a parental figure to me. If I had a different father and he just wanted to be a part of my life, I would never shut him out. But I'm not going to be optimistic. I'm not going to jump to the conclusion that it's some man who would want to be my father and is ready to make up for lost time, because there's a big chance it's not even the case. I'm just being realistic, and the realism is that 1, I may not even be the affair child, it could be my brother, and it wouldn't involve me at all. 2, it's some one-night stand my mother had when desperate and alone, and she barely even knew the guy, let alone know how to contact him. And 3, it's someone we may know. He knows about me and when and how I was conceived, and just doesn't want to be involved. Either way, it's not that big of a deal to me. Any outcome will not change my life views or who I was raised to be. Opie on their dad. My dad was actually a pretty good parent to me, even after the divorce. I was a total daddy's girl as a child, and as a teenager, he was the fun Disney dad. I wanted for nothing. He cooked me great meals, took me to the beach to find beach glass, took me to do whatever I wanted. Like I said previously, I didn't learn until I was an adult about what a scumbag he was. He wasn't paying child support the entire time, went to jail once because of that, and was in extreme debt. So much that he just left with essentials one day and never came back. He was scamming his friends, his boss and co-workers, and had a serious gambling addiction. My mother obviously shielded me from most of this because I was a child, but she told me everything she knew once I found out myself, because at the end of the day, he was still being a good father to me. My brother, on the other hand, he's the one who suffered the most. My brother is neurodivergent and was abused by my dad as well. My brother was also used as a pawn in my parents' divorce. My father let him live with him, not go to school and do whatever he wanted. My brother barely graduated high school and is working crappy jobs to support his family because he didn't learn any skills to assist him in getting a job. My father also kicked him out the second he wasn't of use to him anymore, so he has abandonment issues on top of everything else. I don't think the differential treatment was biology related, but more of the fact that my father didn't want any more children. My brother being alive obviously made him very upset, but by the time I was born, he obviously accepted that he's a father again and he couldn't do anything about it. Opie comments when told to take a new test. It's already pretty tough to deny since our maternal DNA is exactly the same, just not our paternal. I also don't want to waste more money on this than I want to. At the end of the day, I still love my mother and would never hold anything against her. I'm not even the one who plans on confronting her, my brother is. But like I said, I don't know, my dad is dead. My mum was my maid parent. I'm not going to spend possibly hundreds of dollars on something I don't want to dig on. Maybe you guys have disposable income like that, but I'm a new homeowner in my early 20s. I can't afford to drop $100 or more on stuff like this. Yeah, fair enough. Itching to find out though. Let's go to an update 9 hours later. Welp, the dinner is over. My brother texted me a couple hours ago, only saying it's not what I expected. And he's honestly right. I'll put a TLDR at the bottom if you don't want to hear the full story. This is also all second-hand info, so bear with me. So my brother invited my mum over for dinner. They ate their dinner, and then my sister-in-law took my oldest nibblings to the neighbour for a play date. In all seriousness, it was just so my brother could talk to my mother alone. My brother presented my mum with the pictures of our DNA test. She, according to him, was extremely shocked and distressed, not the behaviour of someone who actively cheated, as he said. Long story short, my brother is the affair baby. I put it in quotes because it was consensual with my father. When my mother was in her early 30s, when my brother was conceived, my father was a travelling salesman. My father has always been an amazing salesman, and he was part of an elite group at this company, and they would go on retreats and whatnot to reward the hardest working guys. According to my mum, these recruits were basically swinger events. If you don't know what swinging is, feel free to look it up yourself. My father basically forced my mother to partake in these events, but she ended up enjoying herself since my father was such a selfish lover. All the men either wore condoms or had vasectomies, but you can lie about both of those at the end of the day. She honestly didn't know that my brother wasn't biologically my father's, and unfortunately she has no idea who his biological father could be, because by her own admission, she said there were dozens, and they weren't exactly close with these people. She obviously stopped doing it when she found out she was pregnant, and my father nor his douche friends were attracted to my mother's mum body, so there's no way I was conceived by another. I'm both happy and sad at the same time. Deep down, I kinda wish I was the affair baby, because my brother is struggling a lot more with this than I am, and he's struggling twice as much because he'll never know who his real father is. Like I said, I'm probably going to respectfully bow out here, but if he reaches out for support or help, I'm not going to decline. I'm just going to give him space to digest everything. I know, weird ending, but I don't know, I don't feel all that different. Maybe it's because I'm not the one in his situation, but I feel very unchanged. Probably because, like I said, my father is dead, biological or not. I've grieved and moved on, and even if I found out he wasn't my father, I still wouldn't have a father. I don't see myself updating any further. We found out what we found out, and like I predicted, this doesn't change how I feel about my mother or my father. My brother has a lot to think about, and at the end of the day, this isn't my circus to share anymore, it's his. Thank you for the suggestions and comments, I appreciate them all. One comment says, that's either an incredibly well thought out lie or an uncomfortable truth. So, well done? Opie replies, like I said in my previous post, my mother isn't a liar. I've never caught her in a lie in my entire life. She's the most honest person I know. I think this was 100% truthful. I have no reason to think otherwise. Also, forcing my mum into swinging because he wanted to have sex with other women is extremely believable, not gonna lie. The commenter replies, she's the most honest person I know. She was having sex with dozens of men when your brother was conceived, and she's shocked your dad isn't the father, but in your previous post you said you were told that you were both failed vasectomy babies. So in your own mother's story of how you were both conceived, she would know that it could have been any of the dozens of other men that could have claimed to have vasectomies. Opie replies, I think it's just her honesty bone kicking in, you know. Since she's a very honest person, she expects that honesty in return. I gladly gave it to her, but I know the majority of people will not, including men who just want to have quick sex. I think she was genuinely shocked and just being woefully ignorant about the whole situation. And of course, I believe her when she says that I was not an affair child. What would she gain from telling my brother he was an affair, but I'm not? It literally wouldn't make sense. Alrighty folks, I'm going to leave that one there. Yeah, plenty to unpack there. I can't help but feel like the brother was disappointed in the outcome because he was hoping that, their dad knew that he was an affair baby and that's why he mistreated him the whole time. And now that that's not the case, he's left wondering why. I can't help but feel a bit sorry for the brother here. What about you guys? What do you think about this story? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, we're going to leave that one there and move on to another one. Alright, we're over on True Off My Chest now. This one was written by user Visual Cow, and it's titled, I had the opportunity for revenge, but I couldn't do it. I found out a month ago that the love of my life and my best friend have been having an affair for at least the past year. After looking into it more, not only did all our friends know, but they have also been actively hanging out with them. I'm a socially awkward individual, so making friends for me is hard. I met all of them through my best friend, so I guess it's natural they chose him over me. I hated all of them. I spent 24/7 with one of them when their parent died because they didn't want to be alone and were a danger to himself. I was there for another when her boss was harassing her and she needed help finding a new job. I let another one stay at my place for free for 3 months because his parents kicked him out when he told them he was gay. All 6 of those a-holes have been through so much and I was there for every one of them. Now I realize they all just kept me around to use me when they needed, including my girlfriend and best friend. I helped the man start his business when no one would invest in him. Still hasn't really taken off and he still asks for my time to help him do things. I've been working day and night to help her pay off the medical bills from her surgery after she had an accident. I've been out of the house for a few months because my mother was sick and I needed to help her, but I still commute back 10 hours every weekend to make sure my girlfriend is doing alright. I have gone through her phone and seen all the pictures, the flirty messages and the group chats, all of them planning outings, meetings and whatnot. I have seen the disparaging messages about me, the I love yous and them basically flip-flopping between still loving me, leaving me, not wanting to hurt me anymore, and then realizing they need me. They all still need me. I was ticked, and I was so angry I scared myself. The thing about being the go-to guy for help and being the quiet one is that people trust you, they tell you things that can get you in a lot of trouble. I spent the past month preparing my plan, getting everything in order to absolutely implode their lives in a way you can never recover without someone altruistically helping you out. But who will help them? Not me, and they can't ask each other because they'll all be in the same damn boat. Everything was ready. I had pictures, videos and text logs. The lease would have been up in December, and I wasn't renewing that. I have a new job lined up which would pay less, but I know I will enjoy. All the main items were out, and the rest I didn't care for. I pretended to go out to my mum's. I waited an hour and came back. I could see them through the windows, him and her cuddling and kissing while they all sat around chatting like it's a regular day. I took a picture of that scene. I was ready to send the texts and emails, basically ready to set their lives ablaze. I couldn't. No matter how much someone has hurt me, I can't be responsible for ruining someone's life. Sure, they did the things and I was just unearthing them. It would still have been my decision that burned them all, and there would have been collateral damage to people who did nothing. I had come this far and had to do something, so I just sent them a picture in the group chat and looked in. One by one they checked the message and started panicking, I guess. One of them finally spots my car and I see them all look at me. I don't know what was going on in their heads. Was it panic, regret, guilt, sadness? Who knows? I started my car, and as I started driving off, my ex came out barefoot in the cold, moving as fast as she could in her state. I don't know if she was crying because of guilt or regret, but I didn't care. I drove off to my mum. They called me a bunch of times and sent me thousands of messages. I used to read all of them, and with each one I felt less for them. It went from asking to forgiveness, to anger, to groveling, basically to questions about how they'll do things I used to do for all of them. I don't care. I'm getting a new number on Monday. I still get a new sobbing voicemail from my ex every 20 to 30 minutes asking for me to come back. I get texts from my ex-best friend to come back and beat him up, that he would sell everything he owns and give it to me. My friends apologizing for their parts and wanting to be pals again. I don't know what drives this, but they know I've read some of them. I think I'm over it. I don't feel angry anymore. I feel happy I didn't do what they did to me. It would have never been satisfying for me. Wow, yeah, kudos to not stooping to their level. Let's go to some comments. Go forth now and heal yourself. Forget them. It's in your past. That's a level of maturity and self-control that most people don't possess, and with qualities like that, you will draw better people towards you. You've learnt your lesson. There are givers and there are takers, and there are those with the healthy balance of both. Onwards and upwards, OP. A friend/partner like you is like finding a diamond in today's dating pool. I'm sorry that those fake people, the ex-boyfriend, ex-friends, betrayed and hurt you that much. Reading your story brings back bad memories, and you get me. The fact you choose to not do what you prepared showed how different you are from those people. They are pests. They can't live without the support of others. You think you didn't get your revenge. How wrong can you be? Their conscience finally wakes up, and right now it's eating them inside. It's good that you already have things for a new beginning, but seeing a therapist can be necessary. Right now you feel relief, but it's a mirage that will stop sooner or later, so be careful. The level of betrayal is really high. You should talk about it to be able to exercise that and move on with your life. I really hope you'll heal, find peace, and be happy, but don't let them change you. Don't let them win, because the world needs more people like you, who have a heart like yours, who care about others. Be proud of yourself, because I am. Wish you well. I'm genuinely so sorry. I've been in a situation very near this, and I can say the best revenge is to let these miserable humans go and find your own happiness. I used to occasionally hear from them much later. They got stuck in an angry space when I stopped responding, and they all apologized and realized that I'm a good person who had genuine love for them. It's sad for them, but to be honest, it taught me that I deserve the energy I give. Not reciprocation, but reciprocity. It's a weird kind of catharsis that comes with being the bigger person and refusing to dip into the toxicity with them. It sucks, and anger was definitely the easier route, but I had to worry about living with myself in the end, then trying to get back at others. Good luck, and please enjoy your fresh start. You deserve people who care for you as you care for them. Okay guys, now for an update, 11 months later. Hi everyone, I happened to remember this account, so I decided why not update you all. First of all, my mum is doing much better and is preparing for a 5k. Her goal is to complete one by 2025. Thank you for all your well wishes. I would like to tell you everything with me is going great and I'm doing amazing. That my ex-friends and girlfriend are doing terribly and are destitute. Life isn't a movie or a storybook, and things don't work out the way we would like them to. But it can get pretty close to one. I am doing amazing. My new job has been one of the most fulfilling experiences of my life. Since I stopped paying for unnecessary medical bills and rent for a place I never really cared for, I've saved up so much money. I decided to finally invest that money in something worthwhile. Myself. I didn't hit the gym or anything, but I did get some work done on my teeth. They had some minor discoloration. When they shaped it for a crown and removed the layers, it looked like it was painted with Pepsi or something. It was a boost in confidence. I started buying more and more clothes and building outfits. I started anti-anxiety meds, which have brought me out of my shell. I feel so much better. I met someone a few weeks ago. We've just been talking through text and it seems to be going well. I don't really know what's going on with the people I left behind. I heard rumors that came from a long chain of people, so I don't trust them really. My ex and ex-best friend are having a baby, which has caused financial issues for them with the medical debt and struggling business venture, but are somehow making it work. The girl whom I helped get a job was caught in an affair with her boss. He may or may not be married, it's unclear, who threw her under the bus professionally to save himself, but seems to have landed on her feet because the company wanted to avoid a scandal. Another one of them has gotten engaged to his girlfriend. Last I remember he was single, so don't even know how long they've been involved. The one I housed for 3 months is doing fine as well, but may have gotten an STD from one of his one-night buddies. I have no information on the last dude. So, a mixed bag of good for me, and a little bad for them, but not terrible. Just normal life issues. It's as close as one gets to karmic justice, I guess. The last contact I had with my ex was an email 6 months ago. She detailed how sorry she was about the fallout of her actions. She just fell in love with him while still loving me and didn't really know how to proceed from there. It was a bad time for her as she relied on me so much that made her get resentful, and something about being with him made her feel in control. She ended it with how much she regrets her actions and the hurt she caused, but doesn't regret loving me or him, and that she still loves us both and will always be here if I need her. I never responded because there was no need. I can understand her perspective in this, doesn't mean I condone her actions, but I can somewhat forgive her and move on from this permanently. Humans are complex, and so is love. Sometimes we hurt the ones we love the most. While I don't like her or her actions, I do believe she loved us both. She doesn't seem to have any reason to lie. Anyway, c'est la vie. Have a good evening, guys, and don't spend your energy getting upset or anything on my behalf. Okay, guys, and that's the end of that story. Yeah, pretty good ending there. I think it's clear that she wasn't very sorry, she was just sorry for herself. That's usually the way these things go anyway. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Otherwise, we're moving on to another story. Okay, back over to relationships. This one was written by user Dover Calais, and it's titled, I proposed to my girlfriend of 4 years, but she said no because it wasn't a surprise. I'll start by saying I love my girlfriend a lot, but she's definitely high maintenance. We've been talking about getting married for a couple of years now, but I wanted to wait until I knew a wedding was something we could afford. I finally got a promotion and she found stable employment, so I went out and bought a ring. We went on a vacation last week. The whole trip was very romantic, and I proposed to her on the beach, which I thought she would have wanted. Turns out she expected it all along because the trip was so romantic and she said no. She wants me to try again, but wants it to be a surprise this time. She also wants a photographer to be there to capture the moment. It was pretty freaking embarrassing when a few people came up to us to congratulate us, and she was explaining why she said no. I'm not sure what to do. She wanted it to be a surprise, but also wanted me to propose as soon as I felt ready to. We also talked about her ideal engagement, and it's on a beach. Yes, seriously, in a forest or in a field. I can't imagine any possible scenario where I could surprise her at one of those locations. She is not the outdoorsy type, so it'd be unlikely she would be in any of those locations anyway. I explained my frustration to her, and she just says, well, if you want to get married, you'll find a way to make it work. It seems so bratty and immature, and I'm not sure how to deal with her now. I'm still really ticked off about it. What should I do about this? Am I wrong to be ticked off? No, I'd be pretty ticked off as well if I was OP. This girl sounds pretty immature to me. She's obviously built up some fantasy in her head, and anything other than that is just not good enough for her. Sounds like she needs a reality check. Let's go to the comments. Your girlfriend doesn't sound nearly mature enough to get married. Take this as a sign of your life to come and get out. Opie replies, I think you're right. I had been trying to justify it for her, but judging by the overwhelming response, I should probably break it off. Another comment says, ask your good friends their truthful opinion on her, and make sure to let them know that they won't get a backlash for saying something bad. They know better than us. Opie says, my friends can't stand her. Take the ring back to the jeweler. Does she want an engagement or does she want a marriage? I can totally see bridezilla growing on her already. Yikes. Opie replies, yeah, that's another thing. When we were talking about her dream proposal, she was showing me her Pinterest for her dream wedding, and it's full of stuff we won't ever be able to afford. I told her it's unlikely our wedding would be like that, but we could still make it nice, and she said she'd rather wait till we can afford her dream wedding. A commenter adds, and by rather wait, I suspect she means nag you about either getting a better job or taking out a loan to pay for what she wants. Don't do this to yourself, man. Opie says, yeah, she told me I could start selling some of the furniture I make, which is something I do as a hobby that she wants me to turn into a second job. Uh-oh, yeah, can't see this lasting. Seems like Opie's starting to grasp onto the reality of his situation as well. Let's go to an update. Here's a link to my last post, but it got deleted. To summarize, I proposed to my girlfriend on a nice vacation and she rejected it because she knew it was coming and there wasn't a photographer. Thank you all for your comments and messages. Sorry I couldn't respond to most, but I read them all. I decided to try and talk about it with her one last time before throwing in the towel. I wasn't really expecting much, but I just wanted to see if she'd see my side. She lives with me, so I wanted to end things on a good note. She didn't understand at all. She was still saying I needed to work for it, and she wasn't taking me seriously, so I broke up with her. Then she told me she accepts my proposal and we're just going through a rough patch, but we'll work it out. She was really trying to get me to change my mind and was promising me she would be better to me. She completely ignored me every time I told her we're breaking up, and was always yelling over me about how we're going to work things out now that we're engaged, and eventually I got tired and went to sleep, thinking it was perfectly clear that it was over. I woke up Saturday to a whole bunch of messages. She found the ring and took a picture with it on announcing our engagement and tagged me in it on Facebook. We got into another huge fight, and eventually I just called her parents and told them to come pick up all her crap or it's going to the dump as soon as she leaves. They were surprisingly understanding. Her dad seemed really embarrassed by her, but they were a huge help. I know it's illegal to do that and I was supposed to actually evict her, but she got seriously violent and I didn't want her in my house anymore. She smashed my iPad and knocked my PlayStation off the TV stand, and both are completely broken, so I didn't want to wait around and see what else she would do. She wouldn't even give me the ring back. Her dad had to guilt her into it. It was pretty pathetic. So that's the end of us. Really sucks I wasted the last 4 years with her, but I guess it was better to get out now. It's nice that I can hang out with all my friends again. A girl I'm friends with asked me out on a date, so that's what I'm doing tomorrow. I'm actually pretty nervous. I know it's way too early, but even if it doesn't work out, it should be fun to start dating again. Whoa, jumping on the dating train really quick there, but let's see, I suppose. Let's read some final comments. If your friends don't like your partner, you shouldn't be expected to make any large decisions off of the bat regarding them, but you definitely should take a step back and try to see what they're seeing. Oh, she is just a nightmare. At least her parents felt bad and helped him get rid of her. She would not have left on her own. Oi. His entire married life would have been him tap dancing through a minefield. He dodged a planet killer there. Yeah, hard to disagree with that sentiment, that's for sure. What do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts down below. Otherwise, we're moving on again. Alrighty, just a quick one from Am I the A-Hole? This one was written by user Playful Top, and it's titled, Would I be the a-hole for not believing my ex was faithful due to fake evidence? So I broke up with my ex some years ago, and it was because I believed she was cheating with her ex. There was just too much evidence. Her ex sent me screenshots of them sexting, including nudes. The screenshots were dated for some weeks ago, from that day. When I confronted my ex about this, she denied it, but I demanded to see her phone, and yep, they were there. Also, yes, we had officially been together by then. My girlfriend swore up and down she had no idea those messages were there. Those dates were around the time my girlfriend was staying out, and I remember my girlfriend not responding to my texts those days, and when I asked her what was going on, she said, "It's none of your freaking business. I don't need to tell you where I am all the time." Our relationship was rough during that time. So with the texts and how rough our relationship was, I figured she was lying and broke up with her. Fast forward, and her little brother, who is a troubled young man, called me. He's doing some sort of program where he's taking responsibility for a lot of hurt he caused. He admitted he planted those messages because he hated me, and he liked my ex's ex more and wanted them back together. I reached out to my ex to apologize. Her brother told me he already spoke with her about this. She hasn't responded to me yet. I don't know if she ever will, but that's fine. Was I the a-hole for this? I feel guilty for not believing her, but seeing those messages felt too real for me. I didn't even think they could have been faked. One comment says, "Not the a-hole. If she has crazy people in her life trying to sabotage her relationships, that's still on her, not you. Also, why are you assuming little brother is even telling the truth? Either multiple people conspired together to set this breakup evidence up, which sounds far-fetched, or little brother is full of crap and it's a manipulative ploy from them to just try to stick it to you and or clean up the ex's image." Opie replies, "I mean, I knew he hated me back then. He wasn't subtle about it. He was also just a kid back then. He was 15. It's been about 8 years since, and he seemed genuine." Yeah, my first thought was that he was lying as well. Let's go to the update, see what happened. My ex reached back out. She said her brother had already talked about this to her. She's furious at her brother right now. We chatted for a while, catching up and stuff. She has a kid now, but is single. Part of me wanted to ask her out. Another part was hoping for her to ask me out. But with all the baggage we have now, it's hard to tell. In the end, we did actually meet for coffee. We are both very different people now, so I don't know if we would even be a good match. She said she forgives me for not believing her, and she said that if she'd seen messages like that on my phone, she would have done the same. I'm not really hoping for anything here, but it's been nice to reconnect with her at least. Alrighty folks, so we're going to leave it there for today. I hope you guys enjoyed those stories. Thanks for making it to the end, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day. Cheers.